Our next speaker is Jim Mogenson.
Yes, here to speak about City Council electronic communication. A couple years ago, a number of years ago, I was at a planning commission meeting, and the regular meeting stopped, and then there was a work session after that meeting, and somebody from the city attorney's office came to brief the planning commission on some emerging issues relating to electronic communications and how to handle and deal with this. And I was the only person in the room aside from the planning commissioners, and it became clear as there was this kind of robust conversation that they had forgotten that I was there. And I learned all kinds of interesting things about how the status of how people were, things that people had tried to get around these things, what was allowable, what wasn't allowable. And the thing I came away with, and soon after that, it became pretty clear, and this has been a number of years now, that banter, the quote-unquote banter, was happening. And so what I said is that can you imagine, I can't afford a regular FOIA, right, because it's too expensive. But I might be able to FOIA electronic communications during a specific time period, and it wouldn't be 10,000, and so I wouldn't go broke if I were to do that, or if I was to find somebody to do that. And I encourage council not to do electronic communications during the meeting that they wouldn't want to see on the front page of the Ann Arbor News. And lo and behold, right, it took a long time, but lo and behold, here we are. The other thing that happened, because when you think about the Open Meetings Act, what happens with electronic communication that happens during meetings is if you're here physically, there are rules and regulations about what you can say and when you can say it and what you're allowed to talk about. But when you open it up to electronic communication, independently, I'm trying to speak independently of the, communication between council members, right? People from outside could theoretically email, and that would not be allowed either. You'd have Wi-Fi. I mean, it could cause theoretical chaos if you brought that into the meeting. And so there's from my standpoint, I think there's an opens meetings issue. And so I'm encouraging council to think about putting some standards of standards in place to keep everything, to really think about revisiting this issue and making sure that doesn't happen. The other thing is relating to FOIA. There was a debate about how to get around FOIA. And so the question, I think there was a point at which someone said, well, if you work for a law firm and there's privileged communications, right, it would be hard for a citizen to FOIA things about the city that were done using a law firm email. Because, right, the law firm could just say it's privileged communication, we don't want you to know about anything that's happening. And so it would be a way to get around it. It was one of these hypothetical things that came around that, but we really need to think about when city communications can happen and the equipment that they should be used on. Thank you very much.
Thank you.